And welcome back, everybody. Now, I was just saying before we came into this game that I thought that what we've got coming up was going to be the game of the day. We kind of got spoiled with our opening game with that Sweden-Denmark nail biter. But I still believe this game is set to deliver, Neo, because we've got two incredible teams, two favorites. It's Sweden again, but this time Portugal is who they're going up against.
This should be a banger. And this really could, if we have to expect maybe all three of Sweden, of Denmark, of Portugal making out of this group, this could be a big thing about seeding, I think is the main thing. Portugal, their first game, let's not beat around the bush, it was pretty comfortable. 13-1, they ended up winning that one over Hungary. So they're coming towards this one with a hell of a lot of confidence. Then again, Sweden, it took the distance, but a 13-11, they were able to close out against Denmark. So they're also feeling pretty confident. They were 8-4 down in that second half. They found this form. The hope is that we get coming towards what is a competitive game here, is that we get second half Sweden for the entire map. And then we're talking about how they can really take Portugal the distance. But I'm interested to see how Portugal will do. Of course, name value-wise, we know they've got a lot to bring. With their opening game being so clean as well, I think this one should be sick.
And for Portugal, they're looking for redemption as well, because last time around we had a slightly different format in terms of the amount of spots that were available. And so they flawless group stage 3-0, and that was a group with Spain in it, who played really well, Iceland, who actually surprised, and well, Wales, who were there. But for Portugal, they made it out really cleanly, and then they got into the playoffs and lost 1-2 to Netherlands, who went on to win the whole damn thing, like the LAN finals. So, yeah. You know, to have gone so close against the eventual champions, it feels a little rough that the bracket kind of panned out for them that time around. So this time around, they have a lot more, I feel, that they can achieve, just because the format is a lot more, I guess, forgiving for teams with the group stage kind of set up. But it's still going to be difficult, just given that this is such a stacked group. And we can take another look at the lineups, because we don't spoke about Portugal yet. I think we've all kind of covered Sweden. We saw how great this team played earlier. I think the thing that surprised me the most here, I guess, was how the players stepped up around Giuliano and Zaz, because, you know, I knew that they were going to be very good as a unit, because we've seen them play together for literally decades. But the other three, you know, all good players in their own right, but playing in a new environment. And I think the one I was most impressed with actually was Jenkin. I think that she's very underrated as a player, and I think, you know, it was a little sad to see her drop from NIP. It made sense because Vilga comes through, but yeah, really sad for her. This team, very exciting. Portugal, and the thing that makes this team particularly exciting is the former core of Bigger Keeper. Obviously, all three have gone different ways. We have Zana, we have D7, and we have Ida. All three played together for the longest time under that Bigger Keeper banner. Last year, that changed. D7 went to Guild. Ida went to Athena, and each actually, it felt like, improved the team they went to, ended up being even better players in those teams. So as individuals, I feel like all three have grown substantially. So coming back together, I hope it's a good family reunion.
Do you want to know something kind of wild as well? So that the previous game that they had, 13-1 over Hungary, right? They were very, very solid showing. They're on Dust 2. Zana, 15 KD, 15-1. Absolutely ridiculous individual stats from her. So I mean, just kind of ridiculous. I have a lot of credit, and I hope we get to see these sort of individuals step up. Obviously won't be that outlandish, but we want to see this. We know that name value wise, both of these guys have a lot to bring. These are impact players of the highest level who've been around the scene for a long time. We're expecting this one to have a lot of depth behind it, and a big thing that could tell a big story here, of course, is that veto. So let's take a look where we're going. We've seen Mirage, we've seen Ancient. And yeah, we're going to get exactly the same. Ancient, I'm not too surprised again.
Yeah, it's Ancient for multiple reasons, but the key thing being that the entirety of... well, Sweden already looked really good on it, so we know they wanted to go here again. But also, when these three players played together in Bigger Keeper, this is their most played map. It's the map that throughout the entire 2 years that they played together as a core, it was the map they got the most success on. It's the map they famously took against Enigma Galaxy in the semi-finals of the Isle Impact Valencia in 2022, and set off that best of 3 in a crazy situation, but when able to convert, it's a map that they are incredibly strong on. So I'm really excited. I think it's the perfect map for it, even if it was the most predictable, just because Sweden looked so good earlier in that second half. So I think it's going to be a really cool map.
Now I propose this question to you, Lucy. Who's going to win this? Where are you leaning in this one?
Portugal. The
Okay.
reason for this is I just really like this team. But no. The reason is that I think the history is a bit stronger in terms of as the core on this map and the comfort there. And I think feeding into what I brought up earlier, the evolution of D7 as a player in particular has been insane. She was always a really strong piece of the bigger keeper kind of puzzle in her time there, but the way she evolved in her time on Guild and became a superstar in that team has really been amazing to watch. And I'm really excited to see how she fits back in, alongside Zana and Ida. So let's see it. Game's going.
Yeah, we got some cool games as well happening simultaneously with this one. I think there's something along the lines of about 6 games happening simultaneously. So we'll keep tabs on those scores as well, because they could have some knock-on effects later down the line. But it's a quick play all the way up towards that B site, and no one's there to meet them just yet.
Yeah, Sweden stacked it against Denmark. This time they leave it open. And there's D7 opening up the account fast on the headshot. Jiggle in towards Jaguar, looking for Zaz, but it's Zana that finds the kill. Yengen thought she had a timing up ramp, but no, it was covered. This one, not even a single shot lands on a Portuguese player. Molotov will do a little tickle of damage, but Katie's able just to sit behind, does eventually swing and finds the kill at the back of it. D7 with a USP in hand, looking to get some more kills under her belt. Going to get fired up and comes at a slight cost. No, it doesn't. D7 will win that out. A little awkward, but it's Portugal with the first round.
Yeah, really quick, really effective. I actually like the way as well they keep a doors player there. It's just an insurance policy too. Super simple stuff. Portugal flying towards the fights, and it works. That first headshot is crisp as the second that follows it. It's exactly what you want to see. So Sweden, like you said, against Denmark, they gambled that site, and it was the right call. They just kept their instincts akin to the Danish side. They might have got more of the same, or at least there might have been a bit more of a conversation in that one, but it's not to be. Will be a force buy coming through, however, from Sweden. Triple MP9 and a couple of upgraded pistols to try and make something out of this round, but pretty big call and a pretty decent start, but does it get traded?
Yeah, the force buy is crazy. Only one player went down, right? Jeez. I feel like you just didn't get enough kills to justify this, but maybe if you just run at them with some MP9s, it will work out. D7 does get hers, but exposes her completely to Yankin, who's only good for the one. A double would have maybe given the CTs a stronger chance. Nia can still make this interesting. In fact, she's the one that has to do it all. Slowly creeping through the cave. Smoke on just short, but she's going to catch a timing. She can walk out and she can just do it all by herself, but the bomb goes down. And that's everything. It comes down to the wire. 25 HP. Portugal withstand the force fire.
Way too close. Sweden, I mean, like you said, even the decision to go in towards the force buy was kind of a wild one. They only got the kill to work off. It really didn't feel like monetarily they would be able to do it, but they did. They bring out 3 MP9s and bring it down to a 1 versus 1, which deals damage too. It was close, very close indeed, but still a 2-0 start, and it will be now Sweden having to take a little bit of a step back. Portugal should get a 3-0 start. They go back into the investment. It's fine. And for Sweden, few pistols that are okay to work with, but nothing too spectacular. The one thing that is the good call, though, to a degree, is the gamble stack. They ran all the way through, and they've not decided to rotate just yet. They know they're stacked here. The MAC-10 has sprinted all the way through that B side. They know nobody's there.
Yeah, I wonder if they just want to set up the MAC-10 to get as many kills as possible, so they just sit and wait. This is a little funky. Like, you could just leave. There's no need to be here. Okay, there's the MAC-10. So it's all good. The MAC-10 gets 3 kills. I think literally the entire purpose of this was so the MAC-10 would go undetected and be able to get multiple kills.
Big decision, though, because there's an inherent risk there. They can pop in towards main and maybe take a few kills, maybe make it a little bit more expensive. It's thankfully it's only 1 kill in the end, so it's nothing to worry about. And I think you are right. It's just hoping the MAC-10 gets that money, which they do, right? D7 gets a hell of a lot of money. That means that they're going to drop over an AWP, and Giuliano will be tested as Zana has one on the other side. 3-0 starts. This first gun round for Sweden of the utmost importance. It had a slow start against Denmark, and they needed to make this one better than that. 8-4 is how that half ended, but Zana will start well. Great opening fight.
We saw Giuliano doing a lot of work on the AWP earlier. She has prioritized that very early. He's sitting on the B bomb site, which is where she did most of her damage with it earlier against Denmark. Gonna have to deal with D7, who jumps up to throw a HE, and that will be the firing of the AWP that lets them know Giuliano lies in wait. Portugal have all the map control, and they have a lot of options about what they can do. Sweden are the ones that need to make a proactive play with this lack of information. It's going to come from middle. Jenkins spots a bit of a gap around the smoke, and Nia able to get one onto Ida. So this works out perfectly from Sweden. They needed to get proactive. They do so perfectly. But I don't think they're ready for this. Oh, she fumbles it. Yankin didn't spot her, but doesn't matter. Recovers for the kill, but should be traded immediately. Portugal still have the deficit.
Oh my god, this is such a wild round, which still feels like it actually could go either way. They're going to go back towards B and open an AK. On an execute can be pretty difficult. On a post plan can be very strong. That all can post up and make life difficult. This is a good angle. Just jiggle peeking on the gap here. Smoke going to come out via long, but actually just in front of it. MSA's got to do it all. Bomb will cross and find. That's a good shot. Missed shot with the AWP as well. This round could be done. Look at the time. 5 seconds. You've just got to stay alive. Get out of there. And that's the only saving grace. Oh my god. She gets tagged, but she will stay alive. And the AWP is kept in play. But there really is a bit of a weird discussion that needs to be had now for Portugal about how they basically go about this buy. I mean, it's so much money. 8.8k to work with on one, and enough to drop as well maybe for a second, but somebody's got to take a little bit of a hit somewhere.
That was really well played from Sweden. But you know, we're in a 4v5 on a map like Ancient, but Portugal haven't committed to a play yet, so they have to make proactive play. They do it in middle. They get 2 kills out of it with no trade. Yeah, Katie gets good space, but it doesn't matter. Amazon also a massive play. Redirecting, she sees the long smoke land, and she knows that means it's going to have to be cave and ramp that this approach is coming from Portugal. So she just isolates one of the angles. She focuses on a single fight in cave, and that's enough to win the round there and then. Aggression doesn't work out this time. B7 was holding for it, and she's found a double. Trades out her teammate, who did get caught by the further push. So again, Portugal find themselves in the advantage, and again, Katie has managed to walk into the A bomb site. And you feel that Nia sitting all the way back in Donut, spotted. She's now going to be locked out. The smoke can be deployed on her position.
I think she realizes that honestly taking the fight might have been the way forward there, just trying at range. But smoke, Molly comes down. This will give them coverage for a plant. That's the bare minimum. 2 coming via CT, 1 they know of over towards the side. It's a great flash, in all fairness, but they still should get out. I say that, Giuliano. Good shot from her. Tap on towards the bomb, no commit. Swing from Temple as Zaz will respond with one of her own. Hang on. This CT round is still on. The swing is not good as well as Nia gets one of her own. And it's put D7 all alone in a 1v3 turn 1v2, which he can't convert. Sweden, how they walk away with that round with only 1 casualty in that 3v4, I do not know.
Yeah, that's, again, just some small mistakes from Portugal. There's a smoke there in D7's hands, and she doesn't throw it at all until it's too late, until Giuliano's got on the line and pokes out and finds the kill. It just needed to be thrown from main to CT, and they could have just isolated an angle. The smoke was still up on Donut, so that was going to be fading in like 5 seconds. But if you smoke off CT, that's enough room. You've got full tempo control. You just need to isolate one of those angles. They don't isolate either. And until it's too late.
It's true. San, damage dealt. Trying to stick up for the fight as well. And she will. The pistols get 1, but that's it. That probably should only be it as well.
And it is. Juliana's AWP gets the final frag. That one's pretty clean. Only losing 1 player. You're more than happy with the outcome of that if you're Sweden. And they can build up, equalizing now 3 apiece. It's important that one didn't get costly because some of these rounds have been close. You know how turbulent that CT economy can be.
All right. 3-0. Buys back in. And over Portugal, who started well and looked pretty clean. We need to see them respond in some of these gun rounds. We can't allow Sweden to control the tempo. Mid control's good from them on the CT side. In towards elbow, smoke, Molly behind it as well, so no real ability to swing. They have left the A site a little bit vulnerable. That's the main thing, and that's been a bit of a weakness, in all fairness, which Portugal continue to expose.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super uncommon to go for that kind of heavy mid with 3 and then falling back to donut, but yeah, Portugal more than happy just to contact in. Jenkins going to have to be spot on. Katie takes the first contact, allows that swing from Zana. And they've gone a bit further aggressive. Nia gets the multi. That's massive. D7 will arrive late into main, and at least the smokes are down. The utility comes forward from the CTs. They're fighting straight into it, and Zana puts Amsan down, and another smoke lands. So Giuliano struggling to get the sight lines to that AWP. Despite Nia's best efforts, it might be for nothing unless they can fight forward. Zaz onto one. A crossfire established between Ida and D7. Ida on low HP, wanted to take the first contact. She gets one. The bombing stuck needs to be stopped, and it is. But the no-scope from Giuliano is quick enough, and she has a kit in her pocket. So to be a 4th for Sweden.
Whew, not a bad shot. Not a bad shot at all. Sweden, no matter how they're happening, Sweden are winning the gun rounds. That's the only thing that they're really going to be caring about.
That's happened with Denmark earlier, right? It was just these crazy rounds.
In that instance as well, I mean, that no scope, it's got a little bit of range to it. There's a world in which that one doesn't pay off, but my God, well played to Sweden. They continue to dig themselves out of potential holes in the rounds themselves, and they continue to convert clutches. Portugal, they've got to find a way to break this curse. I don't know if we're investing here. I mean, they could, honestly. I don't think it's even the worst thing in the world to invest, but they have called for attack pause. Something we haven't seen too many of so far in today, and I don't actually hate this. They've called for attack. They're going to buy around off the back of it as well. So triple AK, 1 Mac 10, and a Galil coming through for Yoon as well. It's not bad. It's very feasible. It's workable. There is gaps towards Sweden, right? That A site is, for the most part, on entry open. It's just they can't hold it in the post parts, and that's what's letting Portugal down thus far. Sweden have a lead. These rounds are expensive, though, so they're still taking a bit of a toll on their economy, too.
It's interesting seeing Sweden's change up in their approach to the CT side in this map versus Denmark earlier. As we're seeing mid being the main focal point for the CTs early. It does find at least the control, but kill over the top as they fight up ledge, and they continue to fight. D7 doing her best to win them back, but MSAM swings and it's trays left, right, and center, but MSAM holds for the double. Make it a triple. She's done it all, locks them down on the B ramp. That was the buy forced in off the back of the bomb plant. So now with just over 3K in the bank for all these Portuguese players, you're potentially looking at that 6th for Sweden.
Yeah, this is pretty sick. I mean, Sweden, they're not pulling any punches. That's a nice shot as well, that reactionary one. And for Portugal, you can see that they have these ideas out of spawn. The issue that's happening with Portugal is once that idea gets halted in some way, there's some sort of issue, their mid to late round adjustment of the back of it is struggling. PT50 going through the Molotov there. Might be testing in a second, actually. They're barreling in towards Donut, and Nia can just sit up closer and take those fights.
Yeah, they're not getting too caught off by this crazy aggression. D7's always good for a kill. It kind of doesn't matter what sort of round it is. She'll find one.
Two left. I'm not expecting a lot here. A bomb plant would be nice, but feels unlikely. Not a bad shot from D7, who does get a double at the end, but Sweden guaranteed the bare minimum a tied game. On CT side of Ancient as well, I don't hate this. This is looking okay. But the CT side was where they did their best work in that previous series. It was actually the T side that was maybe a little bit concerning. So the victories that we're seeing and the positives, maybe we take them with a bit of a pinch of salt.
Yeah, I think they got 4 T rounds earlier. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the benchmark. Where if Sweden can get 8 CT rounds, then that's enough. So, well, actually, I guess, yeah.
Mm-hmm. If we can see them get an 8th on the CT side and then a pistol in towards the T side, then we're cooking. And we're looking at Sweden taking this map.
The big difference that is worth considering with Portugal is, you know, we do have 2 players that maybe don't have the same level of constant experience in Katie and Yoon, who, while they have been playing around in a lot of various like Cash Cups and qualifiers things haven't been part of the regular circuit. Ida with an opener. Cost her a lot, but D7. Undeniable. Yankin wants to deal with her, but she's just cooking. Desperately looking for that kill, but there was just an absolute bathtub of flames. And not one that's very refreshing. This has just been an absolute burst into B. They've won every fight they've taken. Yeah, a 1v5. Not going to be looking likely.
I think you're probably right. Any kills, though, are decent for the money, but the flash is good. Katie, we'll see after last. And a flawless round for Portugal. One they absolutely need as well for a side who have been stuck in this brutal cycle. Full buy-in, kind of no success, or not enough money made off the back of whether it wasn't a bomb plant or not kills or whatever. So they had to eco the next in this rinse and repeat cycle. That, for me, will give them some confidence heading into the final 2 rounds of this half. 8 will be great for Sweden. Any less might still be a little bit of a cause of concern because the T-side was a little rougher. However, I also think part of it may have just been, maybe they just weren't really away because first game of the day, weren't really warmed up. They did individually step up in a massive way towards their CT side. And that might be the same case in towards the T-side too. Some of those T-side rounds from Sweden were close, but no cigar type of vibe. Taz getting aggro. That flash is a beaut. Only going 1-for-1. That's good information. Ooh.
Oh, quick scope from Zana. I thought that was a no scope. It was so fast. But suddenly, Ida and Katie hit the deck. Giuliano was trying to peek into it, but it's Zana and D7 in the 2-on-2, and they're the 2 players that you would want in this position. Plenty of smokes to be deployed. A deep one to CT. That's going to cut off Nia. Yankin feels like she's the one that has to do the hunting. Oh, that was the opportunity. D7 just about avoids certain death. She's just going to stay. Drops a smoke. Keeping them locked in on her position. She's just selling them on this. Giving the time for Zana to get over to the other bomb site and plant the bomb. And you're hoping that this has been enough. Because she could have stuck with her. They could have played that 2-on-2. With the low HP on D7, she decides to make the call and set up Zana. It takes a moment for them to realize it's on that A bomb site. Zana slips into Donut and surely is going to hear Yankin being loud on that approach. A missed opportunity. Yankin just crosses. She's going to go group up with her teammate. They have a smoke. That can go straight onto Donut. And that's going to be the objective. Block off this AWP so that she can't stop this defuse. It's not a kit though. So it's a 10-second. A single shot will do it. I don't think she's realized exactly where that diffuse is coming from. It's way out in the open. And so the clutch denied by that smoke.
Another good round for Sweden. Guaranteed. But yeah, I think you're right. I just don't think she realized where that bomb had actually gone down. Way too far over to the right on that spam. It was a potential. And honestly, even with how that one was set up for a little bit in that 2 versus 2, getting a bomb plant out of it isn't bad. However, it is still heading into the final round with Sweden, who have guaranteed a lead, which is something they'll take every day of the week. And if they can build upon it and kind of double the rounds at the end of the half, then we're talking about Portugal having to replicate something that Sweden did earlier about resurging from just 4 rounds on your T side. In via mid, the spam is close and good. Great find.
That's a really cool kill. I like the last shot, which is the headshot through the smoke. Hold on, how has Katie got a kill in air? Well, anyway, let's not worry about that too much about how that happened. All that matters is that Portugal are 2 players up. I don't know what happened there. Maybe she was just falling off where D7 is. And like, because sometimes you're still accurate, you know, if you're just falling and landing. Bit funky. That's a nice hold on Giuliano's aggression. This is certainly a 5th for Sweden. Samson will look to try and maybe catch a timing. Possible, but it's not going to happen. So Portugal will get 5 on that T side, which is a decent run considering Sweden had that 6 in a row.
Yeah, honestly, that's really not too bad at all. It's a decent resurgence at the tail end, and now it puts a lot more pressure onto this pistol in both ways. Sweden find it, they can start to extend that lead once again, talking about, you know, the potential of even making it somewhere in the region of like 4 rounds, for example. Portugal find it, and we're talking about this game probably being tied right back up, and we're looking at this in that sense, and that's where Sweden have a lot more onus on making this T-side start well. The T-side obviously wasn't all too clean earlier against Denmark. It was the CT side where the bulk of the good work was done. That one wasn't as clean as the Danish one either. So let's see. Portugal might not be out of this one just yet, despite what was a slow start. First fight, the Julies get a double, which is huge.
Juliana and Zaz fight back though with Killer Piece, and it's always these two. Flashbang over the top does help out Katie for one, but it's all to Ida, who's pushed through and she's put down by Emsan. So the pistol this time for Sweden. And that was necessary. You said they get that one. Suddenly there's conversation for this T side, which had those struggles earlier against Denmark. Well, this is a good way to get things started.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really going to help for Sweden. Get a pistol here. I don't expect the force out from Portugal, but even if they do, advantage is still in the court here for the Swedish roster, so it could be massive. Yeah, they should get a 9th here. Isn't really a buy to come through. Portugal going to decide to buy next instead, and this is where Sweden have built up that at least stellar enough lead where we're absolutely fine. 8-5. We shall see. Pistols, though, any conversation kills would be nice, and nearly going 1 for 1, but they know where the last player is. D7 stuck. Gets a dink, and that is all. That is all. 9-5. Sweden getting close now. 4 rounds ahead, 4 rounds away, Lucy.
Yep, good position to be in. I just want to bring up now that we're so late in this game, they didn't bring it up earlier, but I mentioned there's a lot of, I guess, players that have been on teams with each other and played against each other before. So obviously the obvious one here is that we've got the reuniting of Giuliano and Zaz after not playing together in the most recent 6 months. But also we've got Ida on one side, Amsan on the other, both of Enzathena. And then we've got the D7 Nia combo, who both played on Guild together. So there's kind of these different matchups where we've got that familiarity between players. And, well, with this gun round, it's going to be straight up B. Ida getting flashed, blinded everywhere. Zana, another double. Always good for the multi. Eventually put down. D7 slips in, but it's all into Giuliano, required to clutch once more. And this MP9 is being such a nuisance. She is spammed out by the USP. And Portugal get their first gun round.
Big round for Portugal to be taken as well. Absolutely a necessity. There was a world in which not finding that for Portugal could have maybe even started to spell potentially even the beginning of the end. But thankfully, that's not the case. And we can start to once again look on the other side and say, all right, how are we going to get back in towards this if we are Portugal? Finding that round there is massive for them. Only a couple of casualties too. It's another big thing where they can sit here in a somewhat pretty position and be pretty comfortable about how things are playing out. So 3 rounds behind. Sweden don't have a bye to work with. It's okay. Portugal should make this a 2-round game unless things go woefully wrong.
Should do, although this massive opening on A is about to be exploited, so we might see a bomb plant for Sweden, which would ultimately be a great result if it's allowed. And with that smoke, it will be. So no matter what happens now, or maybe it could get worse. Jenkins picked up the M4. She's got armor. Zana gets one. D7 another, and it's okay. It's okay. D7 is alleviating it. Smoke onto the bomb. It's just being diffused, just being stuck, the spam not connecting, too difficult to find. So Jenkin will at least hold on to this AK, and honestly, that got incredibly costly. So Sweden, that's about as good an outcome as you can hope for, short of stealing the round.
I don't think they're going to be too upset with that one. Yeah, I think you're right. You know, you're saving an AK coming over, you get a bomb plant and a few kills out of that. You're keeping the Portuguese economy under check a little bit as well. I don't think that's really all too bad. A quicker play, nice couple of shots as well with the pistols, and all in all, a silver lining in what is, you know, Portugal taking the round, but not too bad really for Sweden. Full buy going to come back in. Have the AWP in play as well, which is pretty big. So not the worst thing in the world. This is an opportunity for Sweden to bite back. If they can lock themselves in towards double digits, immediate pressure goes right back on the shoulders.
Yeah, that last round was so costly for Portugal that if Sweden do win this one, suddenly gets very difficult for Portugal getting into the late stages. It's a fake out on to the A bomb side, but it's actually just working. Nia is entered in almost all by herself. They will find Giuliano, who was there to commit, and now it's a little weird. Oh, D7 not heard that. She might have. Oh, maybe not. This is freaky. I think the information has all gone the wrong way. As B is just not where Sweden are.
Bomb goes down and a long rotate, and I think you can kind of see, do Portugal actually even want to give this a go? They might opt not to. Yeah, they're saving. They're going to call it away. It's tough. A bit of misinformation, something of the sort, but it's left them now just thinking, well, we can't do anything here, so we're going to have to just call this. And it will be Sweden, in a weird way, being gifted the double digits there. They take a 3-round lead. They are now only 3 rounds away as well from a 2-0 start and topping out the group, which would be pretty awesome for them. And Portugal, who are a scary side on paper, maybe being doled a little bit to a very strong Swedish roster. Has been held, so D7 will get hers. 2 men alive. Sweden find a 10th. And a bit of a weird one at the end there. I don't know what the call or what the information was gained that made it wrong.
Yeah, what a crazy call from Giuliano. I mean, that's the sort of thing you expect from her, to be fair. But this is the kind of game where she can really flex, I think, her ability as an in-game leader. But that just is a bit funky. They get the kill on B, and I think just the fact they lose those players just sends Portugal scrambling. They don't really know, and they have to make the call. They have better positioning to pin to B than to A, so that's where they decide to commit. Problem was D7 pushed elbow and saw nobody. This time, gets a kill. Getting aggressive in A. A jump up. Emzan spotted that. D7's found another. It's her against the world. 23 kills and counting. No one's even close to her. She's almost 10 above the next player on the board. Needs those players around her. 4 on 3. Portugal's best chance.
Emzan spots. Doesn't quite hit the shot though. D7 and Zana both pretty low. Is that going to be the difference maker? I'm not sure just yet. A bit of a waiting game. I don't mind this. Sweden have pumped the brakes, hoping that Portugal get a little angsty and start looking for fights, and that's where they can potentially take them. Maybe at range like that. Nice fight. Great reaction as D7 gets clipped.
Oh, this is not a good position for Katie to be in. The shadow gives her something to fight forward, so at least she gets one. Just getting split up from every angle. So needed to deliver the smokes forward, and it doesn't get the protection Zana needed. It's on to Ido, 1 versus 2. Flames, making it hard for her to make a play through those smokes. Doesn't have a kit either. And has to respect this utility, which is going to burn precious seconds off that clock. No smoke to block off Donut, where you got this double layering, which feels impossible to break through. So even if you get one, you might not even realize that the second player lies in wait. Flash, a tap, hoping for the swing. It comes in the form of 1, but again, time's just not there. Nothing's being given up. That one's easy as you like in the post plant, and a great round from Emsan. Another massive multi-kill from her.
Yeah, huge. 2 rounds away. And honestly, a very, very good call. They lost the numbers advantage. They were into that 4 versus 3, and they just paused just on the minute mark. And that's where you can see Emsan deliver. Going 1 for 1 here is fair enough. I can't really expect too much more. Yes, there's the shadow spotted, but honestly, it's not really the worst in the world. But Emsan, another big round coming through, and well, maybe, just maybe, you might start to see potential at the beginning of the end in this one. 11-7. It's a big call as well. I mean, they've gone for the force buy. FAMAS, MP9, Fury with the pistols. They're going quick, going aggro, and they're just holding. Emsan holds down the fort for a double, but gets caught.
Force buy into the crunch, falls flat, and that means Portugal might be on their way out. Sweden had their warm-up on Ancient earlier against Denmark, and it looks like they've fixed a lot of the issues they had on that T side. This is the team that, if they win this matchup, will certainly be topping their group, you imagine. Taking down the 2 other favorites in their opening best of ones. Although, and it gets a double with a 5-7. Sadly, can't recover any of these rifles. That off angle held by Zaz means that there's nothing further that can be got from that round.
There was a moment. We held our breath ever so slightly, but yeah, thankfully, it won't make the difference. It was a force buy as well, so for Portugal, it's going to be a similar sort of investment in towards what is most likely the last hit. close at times for Portugal. But I think the big thing that I've taken away from this, especially in comparison to Denmark earlier, is just how much cleaner this T-side actually looks. I think they're calling much better. They're playing off each other. Individuals are stepping up in a big way as well. I mean, everybody's having a moment over towards Sweden. Whereas in towards their T-side against Denmark, they've really struggled to get a foothold in there. 12-7, 5 rounds as this lead. And for Portugal, I mean, the bye again is just betraying them. Quad MP9, 1 Deagle, surely asking too much.
Yeah. Should be. That's 1 kill, but again, we're putting a lot of emphasis on Katie with an MP9, and, well, again, 1 for 1. What she's able to deliver. And it's just went through. Needs that instant headshot, couldn't connect it. Ida with the recovered AK, the best shot, but she's smoked off, has to group up with Zana. Good kill on Zaz, gives away through. It's a 2 versus 2. Time is ticking, recovered AK, both players in towards Donut. Giuliano just fights forward, looking for the quick scope. They have smokes, they can deploy these, but it's a little bit too late. Ida will put it down, but time's not there. Has to stick at 10 seconds. The HE reveals her, and that's going to be the end. Sweden with another victory under their belt.
And that time as well, very, very good to see. I mean, Sweden looks so clean, start to finish, both halves. Really very few mistakes. Portugal had their moments, but that to me was a super solid showing, which I think is now, like you said, probably enough. I mean, if you think about it, their start to this qualifier is actually quite brutal. They get the 2 hardest teams in their groups. It can be quite difficult. Those are one of those starts as well that on another day, if they just have a bad day out of the office, going 0-2 like that can be absolutely brutal. And you can just chalk it up to playing against tough teams. But Sweden have a real tough start to this one in terms of the schedule, and they make it work for them. Now with that 2 under their belt, I'd be very surprised if they pick up a loss anywhere else across the rest of Group C. I'm pretty sure there's the one they're in. So really, really well done to Sweden. I'd be very surprised if they don't finish top of the group now as well. And I think now it puts even more importance on towards Portugal taking on Denmark. Who's actually going to finish second? Who's going to be the one going directly to the upper bracket, or who has to start in the lower?
Yeah, exactly. That's going to end up being a really important game, provided that no other upsets happen as well, right? Because there's 2 other teams in this group, so definitely, room for it to happen. But just, looking at the name value, looking at the cause, we know that these are 2 of the favorites, and coming into it, expected this to be a really solid game. And, got to give you props to D7. She continues to be... It's kind of what we saw here from Portugal is the same story we saw from Guild. It felt in a lot of their games where D7 is given all this space, is given this runway to be this incredible superstar, but there's not that extra piece behind her to support. And I kind of hoped that was going to be Zana. It definitely felt like a few moments, but didn't really get to see her pull out the big moments with the AWP. There was one situation in a post plant where she got kind of cut off by a single smoke, and what can you do in that situation with the AWP? But it felt like she barely got to use the AWP just because the economy wasn't really there. They were really struggling with this back and forth, and Sweden's unrelenting aggression, which we saw earlier, continued here on this T side. And it's got to be said, Giuliano just called a very good game. That T side and Ancient was brilliant.
Yeah, so many times as well. I think, honestly, it was her calling that bailed them out of some tough situations. I'll talk about that one in particular where it's a 4v3 against them, and they call for a pause on the minute mark. It's such a smart heads-up play because they know that the onus is on Portugal to look for some information, and they overextend, and they catch them with some crisp shots. It's these small little things like that, but really well played from Sweden. I mean, the way they're playing right now, they are very much hunting to go right back towards the championships. They finished second last time. They want to take that crown this time, so all of the rest. But really, really important matchup for them. The 2 biggest teams scalped early in towards these groups. That's going to fill them with confidence, which is massive. And we're actually the first game finished. I'm checking some of the other scores. None of the other games are finished currently. There's potentially a couple that might be done in the next few, but we are the earliest one. So Lucy, once again, we're going to float on to a little break. When we are back, more Counter-Strike action. Sit tight.